I'm Lenora Bresler. Welcome to the February 2017 edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. I am in my car. I am not driving at the moment. I am at a gas station, actually, en route between speaking engagements. The very most appropriate place for the subject I'm going to talk about today. The Old Testament is really the preview of coming attractions. It is the way that God prepared the nation of Israel to understand the work of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. And that includes very literally the journey that they took from Canaan, from the Promised Land, into Egypt, and then back to the Promised Land. The Promised Land represents, in the spiritual realm, it is the equivalent of, it's symbolic of eternal life and heaven and being with God. We started out there just like the patriarchs did, but we of course fell into sin and into the bondage of slavery to sin, and that is represented by Egypt. And then God brought us out, and we cross over eventually into the Promised Land, across that blessed Jordan River. Now, what's interesting is that God, during those sojourn years in the desert, had people worship Him in the tabernacle. The tabernacle was a giant tent. To tabernacle really means to dwell with someone, and that's what God did. God showed His actual presence with us in that journeying, which all of us are in right now in the world. We may be free from the penalty of sin, but unfortunately we're not free from the presence of sin. And there are at least short-term consequences for sin. Even sin that is forgiven by God, we're not always relieved of the consequences of what sinful behavior of ourselves and others. We can be the victims as well. We can suffer because of sins of others in this world. And unfortunately we still are. But eventually, just like in the story of the Hebrews, eventually we will pass into the Holy Land, into Canaan, and that's when God will dwell with us in a very permanent way, and that is represented by the permanent building of the temple. You know, there's a temple in heaven. You read Revelation, and you can read about it there and other places as well, including Ezekiel, and there is a temple there because the temple represents the dwelling place of God. And the great thing is that whether we are still in this world right now, tabernacling, carrying along, going along, still in the wilderness to some extent of this world, we know that God is with us. He's with us in the tabernacle now, and He's getting ready to have us with Him in a very permanent way in the temple in heaven. It's a glorious day that awaits us. So whatever it looks like, and whatever it's exactly like, and I know people disagree on this, is the Bible to be taken absolutely literally? Is there really a city of Jerusalem coming down? I tend to think yes. I know some friends say no. Whatever it is, I can assure you of this: God is there. And ultimately, that's all that counts. I'm Lenora Bresler. Visit me tomorrow on the next edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. And now, I'm going to get back on the road.